verse. Since I was a boy, I loved the Bible. I read and discussed it all the time with my parents, friends, and mentors. My parents helped me get multiple study Bibles over the years. But I remember clear as day being a teenager and reading this verse for what felt like the first time. I was completely baffled. This is John 20, verses 21 through 23, after Jesus had risen from the dead. Quote, Jesus said to them, the apostles, again, "Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, even so I send you." And when he had said this, he breathed on them and said to them, "Receive the Holy Spirit. If you forgive the sins of any, they are forgiven. If you retain the sins of any, they are retained." Unquote. So I read this verse and understood it to clearly say that Jesus gave the apostles the authority to forgive or not forgive sins. But this made no sense in my Protestant evangelical framework. In our theology, when we became Christians, all our past, present, and future sins were forgiven at that one moment. This isn't the theology of all Protestants, but a very large chunk of Protestants. Men had no role to play in extending or retracting this forgiveness from us. Only God can forgive sins, I thought to myself. If the apostles could forgive sins, that seemed to imply the gospel I had learned was false. Even Protestants I knew who believed you could lose your salvation believed all we had to do to be forgiven was pray to God. Men simply weren't involved, and the idea that they would be was grotesque, frankly. But this verse clearly said something very different from what I believed. If the apostles could forgive sins, that meant the gospel the earliest Christians learned was quite different than the one I knew. A reality that for one reason or another hit me for the first time when I read this verse as a teenager, maybe about 15 or 16, somewhere in there. Next section, a disturbing lack of answers. So what did I do next? As a good Protestant who loved the Bible, I went to the study Bibles. We had at least 3 at the time that my parents had gotten us. The ones I remember were the Geneva Study Bible, the Reformation Study Bible, and the ESV Study Bible. I went straight to that verse in one of them, I forget which one, and I was eager for the answer. What did the commentary say? How would this teacher explain this verse to me within a Protestant framework? And the commentary was blank. The verses were simply skipped. Then I went to the other 2 study Bibles, whose commentary amounted to saying, the verse doesn't mean what it plainly says. I remember being very disappointed by these so-called explanations.